I got to tell you what, On Three loves Auburn's quarterback room.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Darrell, Dappridge, Montgomery radio legend, hanging out with us on today's edition of the show. It's a massive weekend for Auburn this weekend. We'll also talk about something that Keldrick Faulk said to the media up in Indianapolis during the scouting combine that I think is very relevant to this year's defense. But we love rankings. This is list season, Darrell Dappridge. Before spring gets going, this is list season. On Three's industry transfer portal rankings, they rolled out their top 10 SEC quarterback portal commits. And of course, Byrum Brown is on there. He's number 2. Sam Levitt is 1. Byrum Brown is 2. That's the way it should be. But at 8, Tristan Ti'a makes the list as one of the best quarterback additions this offseason, according to the folks at On Three. You're high on Ti'a. I think that's huge for a potential backup option this year, assuming they're correct. Also the future, and then having Byrum Brown at 2 is a big deal as well.
I must have some sort of issue to when it comes to backup quarterbacks. I just am drawn to them. Am I not? I mean, remember
You love them.
Ashton Daniels last year, and I remember something similar as far as buzz. Of course, you had Deuce Knight in that room too, and everyone loved Auburn's quarterback room preseason. It turns out all 3 played.
Yeah,
it's great that Auburn gets a transfer portal ranking as high as they do with Brown at number 2, because that hasn't happened with Thorne or Jackson Arnold. So that in itself is newsworthy and great and something to flex about. But then you bring in a backup who literally ranks where your 2 previous starters fell in transfer portal rankings going into the season. And this is your backup. And what this tells me is kind of like reiterates and validates what we talked about a couple weeks ago. He will be in the mix next year. If you get a guy like that they consider to be top half of the SEC as a transfer portal addition at quarterback, why in the world would he not be in the conversation to be your starter next year?
You got to give him the shot. I do think they'll bring in somebody proven as well to compete. And does some of this, Darrell, also depend on how Byrum Brown does? I think the attractiveness of the quarterback position at Auburn under Alex Golesh, I think we like it right now. But if Byrum Brown does what he did at South Florida, and you're a quarterback that enters the portal, and Alex Golesh calls you, that conversation's different than if Byrum Brown doesn't perform well this year, and then maybe Ti'a is a better option almost by default. I don't think that's going to happen, but I do think how the offense operates in year 1, I do think there's a little pressure to this because of that.
Yeah, but here's the difference, and here's the take, in which it's nice to be in the catbird seat.
Yeah.
This is the first time that Auburn went out and got the quarterback they targeted number 1 on their board to be the transfer portal quarterback. There is no way on God's green earth Alex Golesh went to Byrum Brown as plan B. He was his dude and the number 1 target for Auburn football over Sam Levitt, over anybody. And I don't think that was the case with Thorne, and I don't think that was the case with Jackson Arnold. I think there was adjustments and pivots to plan B. Okay, so that's the first aspect of this component.
That's important.
I also feel, well, no, I'm not going to say feel, having on pretty good authority, that the number 1 backup that they targeted, that they went after, was Ti'a. That's who they wanted to be their potential backup in the portal, a guy that had played some college football, had some experience at the Power 4 level, and they went out and got their number 2. Now, the argument could be made, and I would make it, that last year they got that part of the equation right. I do believe that Auburn said, we got to go find somebody that's got a lot of experience to be our backup, and Daniels was that guy, and they got him, and it turned out to be a good move. But this is really big, and speaks volumes that you go out and get the guy you want. You've identified, I want QB1 to be by, and you get him, and you get him early. Let's be honest, right? We knew, I mean, it wasn't official, but it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I look, and do not for a minute think that Leavitt didn't go back and forth with LSU, because LSU wasn't confident at a lot of times during this recruitment that they were going to get Leavitt. In fact,
Kentucky thought they were going to get him for a
Leavitt
bit.
walked away.
Tennessee,
He
Tennessee
walked away from the
done.
table. He left. He left
Mhm.
campus saying, I'm not signing with them. So, this is a great testimony to Alex Golesh and a great feather in his cap.
Well, it goes back to the thing that I've said that I like most about him so far is he came out, he's like, we've got a plan. And that plan has been to get certain guys, and a lot of the guys had already played for him. And you can have your opinion on that plan. Are all these South Florida guys going to translate to the SEC? You can question that. And I think there are some valid questions there. Not across the board, but I do think there's some. But he hasn't veered from the plan. And I love that. I love that he got here. This is what we're going to do. We're going to get these guys in the portal. We're going to get these guys. We're not going to retain these guys. And these are, the core sophomore class, the rising sophomores and redshirt freshmen. We need to retain those guys. It's very clear that was part of their method of how they wanted to build this roster. And they've kind of added some portal guys around it. A lot of the offense, obviously from South Florida, the defense, a little bit more of a collection of guys from different schools. But I love the plan that is this. And to talk to your point about the quarterbacks, Byrum Brown was plan A 100%. And based off of some of the stuff you're saying, and I've heard some similar things, maybe not exactly, but similar, that they do like Ti'a a bunch. And I mean, it seemed like that was a done deal as soon as his visit was announced, which kind of points to what you were saying. That wasn't the same thing in the previous cycle when Jackson Arnold and Malik Murphy came to visit. Like it did kind of still seem up in the air, to your point. So I love that. Just want to run through these real quick. Sam Leavitt was 1, Byrum Brown 2, Husan Longstreet, who went from USC to LSU. He'll be Leavitt's backup. And I think he's a good player. Deuce Knight, of course, from Auburn to Ole Miss. Simmons from Ole Miss to Missouri. Kenny Minchie from Notre Dame to Kentucky, which interesting. Aaron Philo, Georgia Tech to Florida. That's very important. We were talking about Auburn's most important games early in the year. We both thought Florida that's going to be a big one. Tristan Ti'a, Oregon State to Auburn. Landon Clark, I guess that's ULM's logo, to LSU. And then AJ Swan, App State to Mississippi State. Of course, Auburn will play a lot of these guys on their schedule this year. So take all that for what it's worth, but you just look at Auburn's backup, and he's in the same tier as Florida starter who's on Auburn's schedule, and then ahead of Mississippi State starter, I'm assuming. And of course, they'll play Mississippi State in Starkville this year.
And on paper, it looks like, wow, did LSU clean up? And you would expect that from Lane Kiffin. But I think sometimes too much is too much. How all three guys, Auburn's just staggered a little bit. You know what you're getting from Brown 1 year. And then, the way the LSU situation is with Leavitt, maybe they feel like he's gone after this year, and then Longstreet's the future. But then
there might be question with his feet too.
And then you've got the other kid that's down there at the bottom of the list. I don't know. It could be overkill as well, but I like exactly where Auburn sits on this. And I think not in the quarterback position, but in other positions, they've done a really good job of identifying who they wanted to be their main target, going after him and closing, but still having a backup plan in case they didn't. And then you look and go, oh, we'll take the backup plan as well, too. I think they've done that in the receiver room. I really believe that. And I think they've done that along the offensive line.
Yeah.
And so they've done a really good job, I think, of identifying needs on paper. Again, they don't play football games on paper. We'll see.
Yeah, we could probably do a deeper dive into that next week for a show because, like, it's hard to imagine Simmons and Ramil weren't plan A options because it happens so fast. Receiver might be one I push back on a little bit because they hosted other guys, the guy from Kansas State, the guy from NC State. But I think that's a good conversation that we should probably have sometime next week, Darrell. Keldrick Faulk said something that I think is interesting and should have the impact we're all hoping for on Auburn's defense next year. That's next, right here on Locked on Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at 5 Hour Energy. Welcome to the 5 Hour Energy flavor draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like confetti craze, fruity rainbow, cotton candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set. Darrell, the flavors are ready. We've said so many times on this show that the number one pick for a lot of people is grape. But I'm looking through some of the flavors here, and peach mango also sticking out to me. Maybe grape has a higher floor. Peach mango, maybe a higher ceiling when you're talking first pick overall. Who are we picking this week?
I like watermelon because I like watermelon snow cones, and I could see a scenario where I could throw some 5 Hour Energy watermelon over some shaved ice. Let's go.
Wow.
You know,
you're an innovator and a scholar.
You're getting the same effect, but man, it's like a slushy. How cool is that?
It's just a different vehicle. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Find your favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots available at 5hourenergy.com or at Amazon. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Game Time. You can download the Game Time app. Use promo code LOCKEDONCollege. You get $20 off your first purchase. It's crunch time. I hope Auburn fans and listeners and viewers of the show will be able to buy NCAA tournament tickets with our friends at Game Time to follow the Auburn Tigers around the country. Darrell, you use Game Time a ton. I use Game Time anytime I'm buying tickets. Strongly recommend this service. Take the guesswork out of buying college basketball tickets with Game Time. Once again, use promo code LOCKEDON. It's not Locked On College. I was wrong on that. It is Locked On, LOCKEDON, for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Keldrick Faulk spoke to media during his time at the NFL scouting combine, of course, showing his high character and class and likability to the NFL, as now Auburn fans are super well aware of the guy that you want in your locker room. He was asked how important it was for Auburn's 2026 defense to retain DJ Durkin and then, of course, defensive line coach Vontrell King Williams. And his answer, he said, crucial. Talked about how they're the character, they're the personality, they're the inspiration behind what they did, and how, their mindset is contagious. And I know I've questioned the defensive line and the pass rush, and those are questions that I have going into spring, and hopefully we hear incredible reports. But man, I really should be done doubting Vontrell King Williams, because everybody that's around this guy, the guys in his room get better the longer he's here. And I think Keldrick echoing that is a big thing. So his word crucial, I think that's worth noting.
To put this in perspective, we're talking about a guy that didn't even become a full-time member of the staff until February of 2024. He was an analyst in 23. Give Hugh Freeze credit for realizing that, getting him on the staff as an analyst. He's what you call in this industry a fast riser. The guy is been trying to be poached for the last year, and he's only been in this position for 2 years.
Yeah, he was our little secret for a while, and now you hear rumors of the NFL teams being interested in him. I got a text from fellow hosts, throughout the Locked On Podcast Network, like, hey, we're hearing that we're trying to get Vontrell King Williams. There was rumors of USC being interested in him, Michigan being interested in him. He is a nationally relevant name at this point in time.
One of the indicators about a position coach, and besides the recruiting aspect of it and what you're able to do as a recruiter, is do your players get better under your tutelage and as the year goes on or in their stay with your program? And I mean, a high hit rate for him, for Vontrell. I mean, most of the people that I think of a guy like, Bobby Travis and Dallas Walker, some of these guys that just get better in 2 years under him. So I'm excited about like the Siglers and those, seeing what they'll do under him. And we know what we have with Durkin, and Durkin's had that reputation for a while.
Mm-hmm.
What a fast riser. And Auburn's going to have to really, really fight off every year, it seems like to me, to people trying to gain his services.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about him leaving for the NFL, I think, than another college job. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. And obviously, on the field, these guys are getting better. You mentioned Dallas Walker. He's only played for him for one season. Thankfully, he got that extra year of eligibility. I kind of wonder what that next step for Dallas Walker looks like, because we saw Bobby Jamison Travis, like he came on pretty strong in his first full year as a starter / heavy rotational piece. But then what he did last year, I don't think the average Auburn fan knows how good he was, because he was, a gritty, do the dirty work nose tackle in every sense of the way. Like you shouldn't know who those guys are unless they've got a loud personality, which if they did, Auburn didn't showcase it. So, and he's a guy that's, in Indy this week working out for NFL teams. And he was kind of a guy that seemed to be forgotten and was a JUCO ad, and, what a path for him. Vontrell turned that guy into somebody who's, I think, will be on an NFL roster next year.
Malik Blockton is the one, even though he's no longer at Auburn, that jumped out to me in his 2 years here.
Yeah.
Just so happened to coincide with VKW's first year. They kind of grew together. But I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with Autry. Malik Autry, him taking the next step. So there's some Reed. There's some guys that I really think we're going to look back on at the end of the year and go, wow, did they really progress? And we'll know who a lot of that can be attributed to.
100%. So thought that was nice. The way players talk about Vontrell is they just gush.
I never had a problem. I never had a concern about if he was going to be able to be relatable to the players when they hired him. My two questions were experience in recruiting and experience in development. You could tell right away he was a player's coach.
Yeah.
And he has checked all three boxes to this point.
Yeah, like when Garrett got hired, was Jeremy Garrett, when he got hired by the Jags, Jason Jones, defensive lineman, he was coming on the show pretty regularly, and we talked a good bit. And he's like, this is a no-brainer. Like, they need to hire Vontrell. I'm like, well, okay, great. And now we see why. We see why. And it seemed like they celebrated when he got the job. Like, that's what you want. That's what you want for the players. And he's making them better, which is great. Everything you can ask for as a coach. Massive weekend coming up on several fronts. That's next, right here on Locked on Auburn. Hey, today's show brought to you by our friends at Coast. Welcome on Coast to Locked on Auburn. Coast Pay is giving Locked on Auburn listeners up to $2,000 credit for your business when you get started today. If you manage a crew, construction, HVAC, landscaping, any operation with trucks on the road, you already know how messy gas and material spending can get. Cards get shared, receipts disappear, and month ends turn into a headache. Coast Pay fixes all of that. Coast Pay is the modern fuel card and expense management tool built specifically for fleets. Fuel, maintenance, materials, all on one card with real control and instant visibility. Right now, Coast Pay is offering our listeners $2,000 credit when you get started at coastpay.com/lockedoncollege. Go to coastpay.com/lockedoncollege to see how you can earn up to $2,000 credit. Terms apply. The Coast Visa commercial credit card is issued by Celtic Bank. All card accounts are subject to credit approval. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Alumni Hall. Darrell, if you need Auburn gear, you're going to one place and one place only, and that is either one of the physical locations of Alumni Hall or you're going to alumnihall.com.
Love the convenience of the online shopping for those who aren't blessed enough to live in the Auburn-Opelika area. You still make that shopping purchase and get it shipped, drop ship right to Bought a lot of gear for my grandkids, my granddaughters, which I love. Their first cheerleading outfits, that kind of stuff.
Yep. That's awesome. That's awesome. I've done the same. All of my girls have cheerleading outfits of different ages with Alumni Hall. So check them out. Once again, they've got a location in Tigertown and Opelika. They've got a location off of College Street in Auburn, and once again online at alumnihall.com. Darrell, Auburn basketball, depending on where you look, 10-ish seed is where I'm seeing is the most common seed line that I'm seeing for the Auburn Tigers. Honestly, I'm past the point of wanting a higher seed. I just want them in the tournament. And to get into the tournament, you have to win tomorrow. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have to win tomorrow.
It's right there in front of you. You know exactly what the goal is, what the mission is. It's clear cut. You win tomorrow, you win Tuesday, you're in. You don't, you'd have to beat Alabama, I think, on the last game of the season to get in. You have to win 2 of 3, however you want to dice it and slice it or whatever. So why not take the easy route, get it out of the way, win your 2 home games against 2 bottom-tier teams. And I think that journey starts with tomorrow night. And then, finish up with Tuesday night against LSU. And I think you'll be in, albeit, like you said, as a 10 seed. Yeah. But at this point, I'm with you, brother. Just get in. I don't care. Get in, and that's it. But it's just a huge weekend. I mean, it's a huge weekend there. It's, we talk about the baseball team having Nebraska. There's a 5K. There's a half marathon. War Eagle Run Fest.
I heard you're running a 5K tomorrow.
I am. So for those of you who will be mourning me when Zach comes on Monday and said we have some fatal news, Darrell dropped over running his 5K. Thank you for sharing this.
They would know Saturday night after the basketball game.
They would know Saturday night when exactly halftime of the basketball game. Yeah. RIP Double D. No, I'm looking forward to it, running with my daughter and my wife. And so, it's a good cause. And so we're getting after it. We'll see.
Yeah. I want to see this basketball team come out with some pride. You're at home. You've been embarrassed too many times at home and just in general. I want to see them have some fight, have some grit. Don't lay over and die. Don't play hero ball. Play for Auburn. Play for those fans that are still pulling for you, despite, were expectations entirely fair? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Your job, especially in today's age of the transfer portal and NIL, your job was to come in and win basketball games, especially against teams that are arguably, the bottom 3 teams in the SEC. Ole Miss has fallen off since Auburn played them weeks ago. Clearly this doesn't matter, but, the analytics have Auburn at an 80-something% chance to win tomorrow. This should be a game, especially at home, Darrell. I just want to see this team have some pride for the school and the community and the institutions they represent.
I agree. Well said. And I also want to see them thump somebody. I'm tired of close games.
I'm ticked off.
I'm tired of nail biters. I want this game decided with 10 minutes left to go. I think the last time Auburn really had a game like that, it was Arkansas. Auburn beat Arkansas pretty good at home.
Yeah.
Blew them out. I don't want there to be angst, anxiety. I want this to pretty much be a done deal and decided at halftime. And other schools can do it. Other teams can do it at home. Put them away. Play some freshmen. Play some walk-ons with 5 minutes left to go in the game. And let's go. Let's make an emphatic statement and thump somebody and not have to come back against a bottom feeder and win by 3.
Yeah.
I'll take it. But
I would take it if that's the only option. If it's that or lose, I'll take the win. But goodness gracious. Speaking of a similar situation, Auburn baseball earlier in the week surviving walk-off fashion against a bad West Georgia team. But hey, they won. And so now they host Nebraska. Of course, that series starts tonight for a 3-game series. Nebraska's okay. I think they're okay. They've got some pitching that could be hit or miss. Curious to see what they look like at Plainsman Park tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday. But Auburn starting pitching, man, based off what we've seen so far, you're going to have a chance in every single game with what they've got.
That midweek stuff, I know it's tricky. I know people say that, but you still don't lose. You shouldn't lose a game like that. And I know that Troy beat Georgia and Southern Miss thumped Alabama, but Southern Miss is ranked and Alabama's not. So that's not really an upset. But
UCLA lost to nobody. LSU lost to nobody. I mean,
yeah, it happened.
Midweeks are weird, man.
They are. They have been for years. They have been for years. I can remember teams in the 80s that were College World Series winners. Florida State getting beat by Florida International, Grand Canyon beating Arizona.
It's just the nature of it. Yeah,
Texas losing to Texas Southern. I mean, just craziness, but it still doesn't make it any easier. But anyway,
yeah.
But it's good. It was a walk-off win, and I'm like you. I watched the reaction show, and what Lindsay said too. When Bingham was rounding third, he wasn't. I went back and watched it. You guys talked about him touching third when the left fielder came up with the ball. He hadn't touched third yet when the left fielder came up and crow hop.
I'm shocked they waved him home.
Well, and they know
that's a decent throw to the catcher. He's out.
Yeah, but Lindsay makes a great point. In pro baseball, you're not, because most of the guys in the professional baseball are going to make us. And where typically your weakest arm is, right? Left field. So if that ball gets hit to the right fielder, maybe not, because your right fielder typically has your strongest arm. Center fielder's deeper, you might, but left fielder's your weakest arm. He rainbowed it, just got in under the tag. Go home. Let's go. So yeah, you guys made some great points. Those reaction shows turned into some fun for baseball. I enjoy listening to them.
Appreciate
Get a little detail. Yeah,
appreciate it. Yeah, Lindsay's the man for sure. So all in all, support the Tigers this weekend. I know we're going to get crap for not bringing up softball. I'm sure they're playing too. I'm sure they're playing a million games. They play so many games, but
they are. I mentioned this before on another show. I mean, they swing the stick. Go watch them. They can flat out hit the softball, and it's fun.
Yep.
It's fun.
Yeah. So support the Auburn Tigers this weekend for sure. Darrell, Dappridge, how can people check out everything you've got going on, and how can people cheer you on in your 5?
I'm not going to let it. I'm wearing a disguise tomorrow, so you will not be able to see. No, Wednesdays.
If you see Darrell, take a picture of him and send it to me, please.
If I'm standing, Wednesdays and Fridays with you, and then of course tomorrow night we'll be going live, and then halftime I'll jump on, and then it'll be fun. A fun day at the loveliest village tomorrow.
Please like the video. Please subscribe if you're tuned in on audio. Please subscribe and leave us a review. Helps the show out a ton. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked on Auburn.